What's going on? Welcome back to the match review. So this is the full review of Newcastle United's trip to Selhurst Park. It finished Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle United 0. And I have to say Crystal Palace fully deserved the result. I can't take anything away from them. I thought they deserved, probably a higher scoreline for what they produced in the 90 minutes. I thought from a Newcastle fan's point of view, we were second best to everything, and Steve Bruce didn't even have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G. I could go on. It was that sort of game where, we've allowed the opposition, like Crystal Palace, to dictate how they want to play the game, and we didn't go to Crystal Palace with a game plan of wanting to come away from, Selhurst Park with points. And what I will say in this game yesterday is that Steve Bruce didn't really do his homework on Crystal Palace. He didn't do his homework on the last defeat against Arsenal and how we should improve, going into the game against Crystal Palace. And when you go into a game with no plan B and you don't do your homework, then 9 times out of 10 you're going to get punished. And that's exactly what Crystal Palace did to us yesterday at Selhurst Park. And going into the match, from my point of view, I said I'd rather have seen Dwight Gale start over Joe Linton. Not down to the fact that I don't like Joe Linton. You want Joe Linton to succeed. You want him to be a very good striker. But when he's not in good form and his confidence is on the floor, the last thing that you want to do is keep playing him, because you're going to make it worse for yourself. And that's what's happening right now with Steve Bruce. The fans are on his back, and rightly so, because he's not putting the ball in the back of the net. And when you don't do that and you cost the money that he's cost, then fans are going to be, voicing their frustration. Because not only is he a striker, but he's the coveted number 9, and that is a big deal at Newcastle. When you're the number 9, we look up to you. And we kind of have a sense that if you're not good enough, then we will, have our say. And Joe Linton, for me, this season just hasn't cut it. And what's really annoyed me more, not the fact that he didn't start Dwight Gale in the match yesterday, which he should have done, but he's come out in the pre-match press conference and said along the lines of Joe Linton isn't a striker. But pardon me language, no shit, Sherlock. We've been saying that since the start of the season. Surely, right, the scouts should have done their homework, and that correct information from the scouts should have been sent across to Lee Charnley and Mike Ashley. If they'd seen the homework of that he's only scored 7 goals for Hoffenheim, why would you pay £40 million? Because for me, that's a risk. You know what I mean? Sometimes, yeah, you take a risk and sometimes it pays off, but, at a bigger club like a Man City and Chelsea, they can probably afford to be poor, but in a club like Newcastle, where we lack a lot of quality, you can't afford not to not perform. Now, I know the Premier League is a lot tougher for Joe Linton than where he's come from, but, surely we should really have got more strikers in. And, we've been calling for a new striker since, August, the summer window, the January window, and he's come out and said it now when we're at the end of February, when we can't do anything about it. And he knew the situation regarding Andy Carroll at the time. Mutu and Dwight Gale, they were injured. And now, obviously, that Dwight Gale's back and he's still technically a little bit injured. He's not really been risked in terms of a full 90 minutes, and because he can't get a full 90 minutes against Crystal Palace, that's probably what's made Steve Bruce say that about Joe Linton, saying that he's not a striker. We know that he's a winger, and yes, he's, we could say that we're putting pressure on him because that he doesn't do a great deal on the pitch, but obviously at the same time the formation's a problem. He needs to, in the formation that he's been given, he needs to make himself more of a presence, and he hasn't done that. That's our frustration with Joe Linton. And Steve Bruce, won't change the formation. That, for me, is a problem in itself. He's copied off Rafa, and Rafa had a better understanding of what he wanted to do. He had a plan if it didn't go right for a player. If it didn't go right, then he'd make that change, where Steve Bruce seems to be quite stubborn, and he'll go with what the players say. Now, the last time I checked, if you're a manager/head coach, doesn't the manager make the decisions, not the player? If the players aren't comfortable, then screw them. They've got to get used to it. And Steve Bruce is letting the players walk all over him. I wouldn't let that happen personally if I was a manager. I would tell him as it is. If they're not happy, then screw them. It's you're the one in charge, and he's going with what they believe. Every player's different. Every player's going to have a different way of playing, but I'm sure every player, in the back of the head, want to attack another team. They don't want to just sit back and invite pressure, and that's exactly what we do. And the evidence was there against Crystal Palace. Up front, no focal point. Joe Linton just didn't really put himself about enough. He wasn't the worst player on the pitch, by the way, but the midfield, we played 2 in that midfield and we got completely outrun. Crystal Palace had it all over the park in that area. And then at the back, you're supposed to play 5 at the back, and it just felt like as if we had one person defending because we were getting caught out time and time again. And it was too easy for Crystal Palace. And if it wasn't for Martin Dubravka a lot of the time, then I'm sorry, we'd lose that game 3 or 4-0 even more. We've got the worst away record in the league in terms of conceding goals, and it's evident. You lose 1-0 to Crystal Palace, you lose 4-0 to Arsenal, 5-0, so on and so forth. And that's been my problem all season because we invite the pressure, and Steve Bruce, won't change it. And I'm not being funny, Bruce, and I hope you're listening. And I know you won't because you don't like social media. But if you persist, with this 5 at the back, and you don't change it, then fans are going to get in your back very, very quickly, and it will turn toxic. And it's as if Burnley at home's not important enough. If you persist with this formation, then we'll continue to lose games, and you'll lose your job very, very quickly. Nobody likes to lose their job, but you're on borrowed time. You really are. You're on borrowed time at this football club. You're not popular to start with, but the last thing that you want to be doing is not listening to the fans. We all, for the last sort of few months, we've been calling for a formation change. Tweak it. I don't mind we're getting absolutely battered, right, if we've actually went toe-to-toe with a side that's better than us. If they're better than us on the day, then fair enough. We'll take it on the chin, we'll move on. But if you're just going to take it up the arse and get beat heavily, or you're just going to lose without actually trying, then that's where we get concerned, and that's where we, think, what's the point? Fans have paid the hard-earned money to go down there yesterday. They've had to get up really early, and they've seen nothing. As we say as fans, we don't demand a team that wins, right? We demand a team that tries. And so far, I don't feel like we're getting 100% from all of the players. I'm not going to say all of them. I'll just say the majority. Dubravka, for me, seems like the only one who seems like he gives a shit. Maybe St. Maximin, Almiron, but the rest of them, I don't know where their heads are at the minute. And, going into the Arsenal game, they were saying that we were 8 games unbeaten. You look at how bad we've played in those 8 games, right? You wouldn't think we're 8 games unbeaten. It's only because we're so defensive. We played a few League One teams in there. Oxford twice, Rochdale twice. That's not exactly difficult. But then again, if you're Newcastle, under Steve Bruce, then it is difficult. I mean, geez, we struggled so badly against, those League One sides. And I thought we were lucky against Everton, lucky against Chelsea, and, with Roper luck, and now we're starting to get found out. We're starting to lose games, I wouldn't say heavily, 4-0 is probably normal. We're not getting beat 9-0 like at Southampton, but we're still losing games. And there's no easy games in the Premier League. I've not been convinced by Steve Bruce football all season. There seems to be no desire. The players seem they don't really care. They're playing for themselves like they always have done in this club. Obviously, it's all down to Mike Ashley at the top. And the poor recruitment in terms of getting rid of better players. We had Rondon and Perez. I remember them last season. They got double figures between them. You look at our strike force this season, if I'm not wrong, I think they've only got 3. That's single figures. That's really concerning. Joe Linton, right? 1 goal all season in the Premier League. 1 goal all season, and he still plays him. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing to hurt to say he can't play Mutu or Dwight Gill. And the minute I seen the lineup, which I'm going to put on screen for you, what you can already see, I was concerned because, playing Mutu or Dwight Gill, you've got a chance. It's something different. But if you play Joe Linton, you just know for a fine fact in the formation, you're not going to get anything. At least Dwight Gill, he'll get around the pitch, he'll be more of a presence. But, going into the game, I'll talk about the lineup now. In goal, Martin Dubravka, absolutely fine. The back 5, I didn't have a problem with that. There was one problem I did have. I would say Lazaro, I would have dropped him for either Matt Ritchie or Yedlin. I think they've got a bit more experience. I think Lazaro needed a bit of time out to sort of reflect after what happened against Arsenal. It should have been a wake-up call. It wouldn't have hurt just to put him on in the second half. In the midfield, we're playing with a 2. Ideally, I would like to have seen a 3, but I don't make the decisions. We went with Sean Longstaff and Nabil Bentaleb. Personally, Sean Longstaff, no problem. But Bentaleb, for me, he looks tired because he hasn't played all season. this is his pre-season, and against Arsenal, I didn't think he offered a great deal. I thought he was pedestrianised. He wasn't really getting, that much of a chance to get on the ball and get forward. Same happened yesterday against Arsenal. That was my problem. We were getting completely outrun in that midfield because Bentley for me just wasn't really, cutting it in terms of the level he should be at this Premier League level. And then obviously up front, he went with Almiron and St. Maximin, no problem. But up front, Joe Linton, which for me was an alarm bell straight away. I went for a 2-1 win if we'd had Dwight Gill, but the minute I seen Joe Linton, I thought, I'll go for a draw. It's not the worst result in the world. If I can get a win, fantastic. But I wouldn't be surprised if we came away with a defeat, and that's exactly what's happened. So just let's go into the game. I thought Crystal Palace, they started off very, very well. I thought as they should, being at Selhurst Park, they're decent. I know they haven't won since Boxing Day, but they're a very decent side, I would say, at Selhurst Park, very cautious side. And they did put us under a lot of pressure. Martin Dubravka had to make 2 point-blank saves from corners. First one was a header by Tim Cahill, and the next one was from Scott Dann. So the pressure was, on straight away, and we didn't heed the warnings. Ayew was getting chances, Zaha was getting chances. We had one chance with Joe Linton, when he picked up the ball and he took aim. But for me, should he not be, running a little bit further into the box and maybe, letting rip, or should he not just pass? It's all ifs and buts, but, he's had my first shot on target in that first half, and, it's only taken 20 minutes. But then obviously Crystal Palace, keep putting the pressure on, and they finally get a goal dot on half time when there was a foul committed, and Crystal Palace step up with a free kick with Van Aanholt. He puts it in, and Dubravka has absolutely no chance. He dives one way, and then the ball goes the other. It's a great free kick, by the way. Take nothing away from Van Aanholt. That's a great set piece, and we've only got ourselves to blame because, yes, we played well in terms of defending. We're sat in there, but you can only invite pressure for so long, and once you do that, you're going to be prone to a mistake, and we made that mistake with the free kick, obviously, which was a foul, which led to it. And then once you do that, it's a free hit, and Crystal Palace are 1-0 up, and they deserve it. I can't sit here and say that they didn't, because if you don't attack as much, then you will be punished. Second half, I thought we were probably going to start off a little bit more brighter. I thought we might have gotten their faces a bit more, but I was wrong. Crystal Palace, set out the blocks the way they ended the first half, and they had a chance with Cahill when he stabbed one just left at the post, and it should have been 2-0. Markham was all over the place, and Ayew had a chance when a ball was fed into him inside the box, and no one was marking him. Free hit at Dubravka, fantastic save, and again, more alarm bells. The defending was all over the place. We're playing 5 at the back, and we're still, giving chances to the players of Crystal Palace, and that was the scenario for the whole game. They were dominating in possession, and we couldn't live with them at times. And Steve Bruce did have to ring the changes on the 70th minute. 70 minutes into the game, and he's brought on Dwight Gill, who should have started, and Matt Ritchie, who for me has got a load of experience. Why are you playing them after the 70th minute when we're 1-0 down and Palace are dominating the game? What made you think we were going to get back into the game? The game was already with Palace. The formation's pretty negative anyway, and we just didn't look like getting into the game. I know we had a chance as well from just outside the box. It was a good save by the keeper for Palace, but it was nothing to sort of suggest that it was going to go in the back of the net. It was just an alert sort of save from the keeper, just to hope it didn't, beat him at his crossbar where it might have went underneath and in the back of the net. It didn't, So anyway, going into stoppage time, we should technically just say out the 1-0 defeat, but we'll lose Lazaro to a straight red card when Zaha's played straight in, and it's clumsy by Lazaro. He's beating all ends up. He needs to technically stay on his feet. He doesn't really have to make the challenge. If he goes through, just let him put it in, because at the end of the day, we're 1-0 down anyway. If he misses, he misses, but if he puts it in, then we might as well just accept it. If they'd scored, what can we do? That's the reflection of the game. But obviously he didn't. He got sent off. He's now out for 3 games, and all I can say so far is good riddance, because for me, I don't really rate the guy personally. When he said, I want to fight for my place at Inter Milan. Well, I'm sorry, but if Inter Milan find out that you've been playing like that, right, then they'll not want you back. You'll not be, getting in their side over Moses, Eriksen, Lukaku, just to name a few. And this is a welcome reality to Lazaro. Personally, I didn't want him to start, but there we go. It's happened. It's all ifs and buts. And the final whistle went. Crystal Palace have beaten by a 1-0. Looking at the league table, we're dropped to 14th place, but then again, I'm not shocked. With the football that we're playing, it's just horrendous. And we are just a mid-table, mediocre side. Yeah, we look safe for now, but if West Ham or Villa were to pick up more results, then we could be in that relegation picture. But we need to start picking up results and fast. Starting off at Burnley on Saturday at St James's Park, that's huge. It really is. Now, if we don't get anything against Burnley at St James's Park, a win for me will do. If we get anything less than that, then Steve Bruce is really up against it in terms of the fans. Will be on his case. It'll be toxic, and that's the last thing that he wants since he's been getting at since the start of the season. Don't get us wrong, he's never won us over. He's on borrowed time, but he needs to try and convince the fans that he is the man for the job. I personally don't think he is, but I'll get behind him because he's the manager. But at the end of the day, he's got to learn from his mistakes, which, the mistakes were evident against Arsenal, right? And the homework should have been done this week, and I don't think he's done that. Playing the likes of, Joe Linton, Lazaro, the formation change. For me, the fans want an attacking style of play, and if you do that, then all will be forgiven. If you have a go and we get beat, then what more can you do? But if you're not going to have a go, then fans are going to be left frustrated. Do you know what I mean? The whole idea, Bruce, is to try and win the fans over and play decent football like you used to with your other clubs. But, you played a formation which was better under Rafa, which is not working at the moment. And you've got to remember as well, you have signed in other new players as well that aren't used to the system. And sometimes you've got to go with your plan, A, B, C, D, E, F, G to try and, get something out of the players, because you never know if you change it, then it could work in the long run. But at this moment in time, short term, we're not getting results, and we are looking over our shoulders big time now, with the likes of Burnley, Southampton. I think Brighton picked up a point as well, and obviously Bournemouth, Aston Villa and West Ham can't buy wins at the minute, but it only takes one of them to get results. Then we are dangerously looking over our shoulders big time, and we're not out the relegation picture. We do look safe for now, but we're making silly mistakes where if we'd not made those mistakes and rectified the issues, like playing Dwight Gale, for example, or playing a different formation, we might even have had more points. I know we've had some decent results this season, beating the likes of Tottenham at White Hart Lane, Man United, for example. But how come we go to Palace and put up a good show? Do you know what I mean? I don't want to disrespect Palace in any way, but how can we not show the same fight against clubs at the worst end of the league, but we can show fight against the so-called top six? It really baffles me that as a Newcastle fan. That's why we're inconsistent. And what I will say is, if we do stay up this season, right, and we'll go into next season with Joe Linton or the same formation, then I can see Steve Bruce losing his job. And I don't really want to call that too early, but something has to change big time. We need massive changes at the club, from top to bottom, because at this moment in time things aren't working, and when things aren't working, you've got to make those changes. They always say don't fix something that's not broken, but at the minute everything's broken, from top to bottom, and it needs fixed. It needs surgery. The squad at the minute is just lack of ideas, and the players don't really have a direction. And when you don't have a real direction, then you're not going to achieve what you want. And I'm sure deep down Steve Bruce wants the best for the club. I'm not saying he doesn't, but at the end of the day, sometimes you've got to listen to your fans, and I don't feel he's doing that. He's going off his own accord, and that can be very dangerous, especially with a fan base of what we've got. We're very impatient, and impatient in a good way, because we've been served so much crap from our owner for a long time that we want stability, especially at playing level. Obviously, the board stuff takes care of itself, but on the pitch, we want to see a team that tries, and we're not seeing it. You know what I mean? The only concern I've got for the rest of the season is players are playing for a move, and I wouldn't be surprised with the likes of St. Maximin and Almiron that the heads might get turned. I hope not. I hope I'm not just saying that, but I've been down this road so many times before, especially if they're not happy with the manager and the formation and stuff. I mean, if I was an Almiron, a Dubravka, or Alan St. Maximin playing in that formation with no ambition, then my head would be turned personally. But I tell you what, Burnley is absolutely huge at St James's Park. It really, really is. And for me, it's a 3-pointer. No offence to Burnley, but it really is. If we don't get anything, then fans will want Steve Bruce sacked. And it's not the first time I've said that this season. I did say it against Leicester when we lost 5-0. But of course, it wasn't that scoreline yesterday against Palace, but it may as well have been, because we've conceded 5 goals away from home in the space of 7 days, and yeah, like I haven't been convinced with what I've been watching. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got to question the manager at times, and sometimes you've got to point it out as a fan. I know you won't listen to what I'm saying, but like at the end of the day, he can do what he wants. I mean, at the end of the day, he's not my favourite manager. I didn't really want him to start with, but there we go. You know, we've got to get on with it. It's a long review, but you know, it's a case of I've got to be honest. You know, I can't just sit here and say, oh, we've got to do better next game. We've got to do better next game. But we've got to have a way of playing better next game, and Steve Bruce has got to do his homework. You know, he's got to do his homework on Burnley. He's got to do his homework on the defending. He's got to do his homework on the new players that have come in. He's got to do his homework on how we're going to go about the midfield. You know, is he going to put an extra centre-back, you know, in the midfield? Is he going to then get another midfielder to free up and maybe go up front where we've got two, like a focal point? There's 2 focal points, and potentially got more, you know, going forward. Personally, you know, I wouldn't go with what the players say. The manager's got to be a bit more stronger and say, right, this is what I want to go with. I want to go attacking. I want to go 2 up front and have a go. Like, that's all we expect. Have a go and see what you can do. And yeah, like, I'm sorry that this has got no pictures over it. It's just a clear video that, you know, I want to put out to say that Steve Bruce, you know, he's got a lot, you know, to work with in terms of this squad. And if he wants to keep his job, then he's got to listen to the fans, because if he doesn't and he goes on his own accord, then I'm sorry, he'll lose his job very, very quickly. So that's the review of this weekend. Next up is Burnley, as I'd said, on Saturday, but I will be at the Blythe Spartans ground on Tuesday. It's the semi-final for the Newcastle United under-23s in the Northumberland Senior Cup. The winners will be playing Morpeth in the final, so I will be vlogging from Croft Park as I did the last under-23 game, so stay tuned for that, and stick your notification bell on as well so you can never miss any content from myself. Also subscribe to the channel as well. Like, I haven't seen many people subscribing lately. I know a lot of you have obviously watched the content. It says down below like 50% you have watched but you haven't subscribed. But if you do like what I do, and you want to be part of the channel in the future, then please you know, go along and subscribe. Like, that would be really appreciative. And yeah, please like, subscribe, follow me on social media, 100% NUFC, and I'll see you all later. How are the lads?